All right, hello there, world. Making another video in my series about the modern educator, and this one is one I've been thinking about making for a while now, and it's what makes you a good teacher. Okay, this is something that I have, really debated quite a bit, and the way I see it, there's sort of two fundamental strategies for being a good teacher. One strategy is mastering your content and presenting it in a manageable way to your kids. So just sort of being the perfect content master. You know math, you know history, you know how to break it down, how to dissect it. Um, I'd like to think I am of that role if I was to describe myself. And then there is another sort of path to being a good teacher, which is you just really care about the kids. Like you you give it your whole world. You really spend all this personal time interacting with each individual student, um, knowing them backwards and forwards, going to stuff after school to help them out, being this sort of super community person. Um, and where I'm going with this is look, I hope a good teacher actually has both of these values, sort of really into their content and really into their students. But I have definitely come across people in my life who are one path or the other. Like they are content masters, but they never really talk to the kids. They never really get to know them. They don't want to do any extra clubs or anything. They're just, they put in their time, they know their stuff, they go home, that's it. And some kids will respect that, but I'm sure, in the back of every kid's mind, they're like, oh, wow, this teacher isn't there to see me before or after school. This teacher doesn't want to help out with my clubs, whatever it is. But then there is the other path where it's a teacher really may not even know the content all that well. Like they're kind of clueless to the content, or maybe they just have the kids completely learn out of textbooks or packets or something, and they spend their whole time just bouncing between the desks, personally interacting with kids, really showing they care about them, and that the kids tend to really respect that. I mean, some kids will be like, "Oh yeah, I loved that teacher, but I didn't learn anything," um, and that's unfortunate. I'm definitely prepared to make an argument that if you had to choose one strategy, you should be the content master, because that's what you're hired to do. You are hired to be this to present the knowledge to your students. That's it. But, and I've had this conversation with some of my other professionals, there are people who tell me, Corey, the content doesn't matter. And that I have some issue with. But their argument is, people remember not necessarily what you said, they remember how you made them feel. And if I improve a kid's attitude about math or science or whatever, then they will be more inclined to learn it more on their own. Because, look, after all, it's impossible for me to teach everything in that classroom. When it really gets down to it, I'm supposed to sort of inspire kids how to learn or give them, the basic tools to get them to want to know more. One of the best compliments I get is when I like teach a history lesson and in like one slide I cover Joan of Arc and it's real basic. And then a kid goes home, researches Joan of Arc on their own, and comes back and is like, "Oh, Mr. Brown, did you know this really cool thing about Joan of Arc that I researched? You got me excited about Joan of Arc, and I learned more." And I'm like, "Wow, that's really what I try to do with my limited classroom time." So it's it is an issue. Like, what is really the better strategy, to be their best friend or to just be, the robotic master of your subject? Of course, a balance is really what I feel that everyone can argue. Um, but yeah, that's what it is. What makes a good teacher? Anyway, peace out.